I got to play the Crew Motorfest ahead of Ubisoft Forward, and I was really excited to play it, and I had a lot of fun playing it. Thanks to the team at Ubisoft ANZ, I got to check out an early preview build of the game that was really a lot of fun. It is important to note that this software is not final, as we are still several months away from the release of the game. So come with me on this journey as I kind of explain my thoughts, my opinions, and share with you some gameplay from my early preview experience of the Crew Motorfest. So with no further ado, let's dive in. So we were given a pre-selected character with no options to customize or upgrade skills, abilities, or anything like that during our experience. Actual gameplay time was, I think, only about 40 minutes in the end, with the session being a full hour with a little bit of an intro video as to what the game is, where it's set, that kind of thing. The game is set on the islands of Hawaii, which I thought was actually really, really nice because I think Hawaii is such a gorgeous place to be. I'm kind of wanting to go there one day. The Crew Motorfest really captures the gorgeousness of Hawaii, and I was really impressed with the game. Visually, the game looks stunning as it takes you through all the different worlds, and I'm going to explain more about worlds in a minute. Essentially, in this hands-on experience, they wanted us to show the fundamentals of the game. They wanted us to learn the ropes, and I really appreciated that because I'm not a huge racing games lover. I've played the previous Crew games, but I'm not super into it, and it's not been something that I've played in the last little while. So I really appreciated them throwing us in at the very beginning of the game, by the way, and the tutorial sequence, which is a bit of a cinematic tutorial. So it's got a mix of story in cinematic intros and gameplay as well. You're seeing some gameplay on your screen as well right now from the cinematic tutorial sequence. I had a lot of fun with this, and I think it was a really fun way to, I guess, introduce the game to somebody who may not have played it before. So the tutorial starts off introducing you to the characters of the world, introducing you to the world itself, why you're here, setting out that kind of context. And then it starts getting interactive, where you start to drive the cars. It starts off with the Japanese cars, which was really a fun inclusion. Caught me a little off guard how hard the cars were to handle at first, because it's been a little while since I've played a racing game, but I had a lot of fun with it, and the Japanese kind of environment that it set out was really gorgeous. It's got this kind of nighttime neon vibe of like downtown Tokyo, but it's not set in downtown Tokyo. It's the city of Hawaii, or a city in Hawaii, adapted to take on Japanese aesthetics, which I really loved. It moved into the off-road cars, and this was my favorite section of the tutorial. I had a lot of fun with this one. The off-road experience showed off the countryside, the jungly kind of aesthetics that can also be found in the Crew Motorfest as well. I really liked and preferred the handling of these cars. It felt a lot faster paced, a lot more, I guess, higher stakes, because there's a lot of dips and dives and jumps and things like that. You're going through water. It felt a lot more fun, I gotta say, than the Japanese and the Lamborghini one. But again, that's my personal opinion. You may be a Lamborghini or a Japanese car person. I really enjoyed the off-road one. And next up, you had the F1 Motorsport professional style cars, which was fun and interesting, an experience to get, because I'm not very good at driving them. One really cool thing you've got in this one is tire wear. So when you're driving on the racetracks that they've designed around the island of Hawaii, you're essentially wearing out your tires with every drift that you do around corners, every turn that you make, and there are pit lanes every so often to get your wheels changed so you can replenish that tire wear, so that way your tires don't just explode and you get disqualified or whatever. Which I thought that was a really nice touch. It kind of makes it a little bit more realistic. This does not appear in any of the other playlist modes that I got to play, so it was kind of nice that it's got this own unique touch, I guess. And it transitioned into vintage or classic cars, and I'm not much of a car lover, but there is something about a nice classic vintage car that makes my heart happy. Now, the thing with this one was that you didn't have a GPS to guide you in this experience, which I found really, really interesting. Now, for me, clueless old me who doesn't know what he's doing in a racing game, this was really bad for me, because when I'd spin out, I'd not have any idea where to pick back up from. But also, I understand that it's trying to keep true to the kind of the vibe that these cars are classic and they don't have a GPS in them, which I also really do appreciate as well. Also, on the vintage cars, we need to talk about the soundtrack that accompanied each stage here. In the vintage cars, you have like this vintage classic retro soundtrack, and each like style of cars or themed after the playlists in the game, which I'll talk about more in a moment. They each have their own unique soundtrack that I really quite enjoyed all of them, honestly. I really liked the off-road and the vintage one though, I must say. It moved into Lamborghinis, which this was a fun one. The game has some kind of partnership with Lamborghini. I'm not super across the details because I was writing notes. Apologies of me reading my phone throughout this video because I was making notes throughout the entire experience to make sure that this video was highly detailed. But yeah, they've got some kind of partnership with it. I'm not too familiar with the details, but they've done a really good job of capturing a lot of the iconic Lamborghini cars and putting them into the Crew. Like genuinely, these cars look absolutely glorious. The one I got to drive that you're seeing was like a nice bright orange, and my God, that car was gorgeous. And then the tutorial concluded with a little bit more cinematic kind of context to the game as to what's going on, which was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot. Then following that, we got to choose from one of 4 playlists. Now this is where it gets fun. If you were counting up the number of cars there were 5 different types of cars in the tutorial, but you only had 4 to choose from in the playlist section, which was all right. But that meant my one that I wanted to do more with got excluded, which sucked. I really wanted to explore more with off-road, but unfortunately that one did not make the cut into the playlist for this early preview build. So you had the choice, I'm gonna look at my phone for this one, between Lamborghini, Japanese cars, vintage cars, and F1 Motorsport Pro cars, essentially. So I made the decision to go with Japanese cars. And the idea is that you were gonna play 2 races out of a playlist. I don't remember exactly how many races there were in this playlist, but there were a few. And the idea was that you'd play the very first one and the very last one to show a bit of, I guess, the scale in how the difficulty changes as you go along. The very first one's gonna be relatively simple. You're probably gonna smash that one out of the park. And the very last one, yeah, I didn't do so well on. I smashed the first one, got top 3, just like it asked me to do in the objective. The second one, I did not. I don't know what it was about the second one. I just didn't agree with me in the slightest. But I gotta say, I really give props to the game for actually capturing kind of the damage of cars in this. They do a really good job of when you crash into something of really showing off lots of detail and scratches and bumps and scrapes and things like that on cars, which I really appreciated. I kind of wish I'd picked the Lamborghini one personally. Japanese cars isn't necessarily my favorite. I wish I'd picked the Lamborghini one, but oh well, we had fun either way. One thing I wanted to mention, which just came to mind, is the rewind feature. This feature was present in the tutorial, the beginner race, and the hard race. So I don't know if it disappears at any point, but I hope it doesn't because I'm pretty bad at these games. But I had to utilize the rewind feature, which essentially was a tool that allowed you to zoom back or rewind essentially on what you just done. If you've crashed into a tree or something like that, just hold the Y button on your Xbox controller or the triangle on your PlayStation controller and it'll rewind you back, and you've got like, I think 15 seconds worth of rewinding that you're able to do, meaning that you've got a fair bit of leeway. I found this really useful as well in the Japanese cars race when I used the NOS ability or the nitro ability. I would often find myself going way too fast and running into the barricade or something, so I'd then have to rewind and then let go of the NOS a lot earlier than what I'd done. So that was fun. But I really appreciated that ability because I'm not very good at these games and I like to just enjoy it, I guess, as opposed to like trying to get number 1 almost. So that was really nice to have. One thing that I noted in the video that I really loved that I think is gonna be a big hit with people that are fans of the Crew franchise is that you can import your entire car collection from the Crew 2 for free on launch to the Crew Motorfest. And I thought that was so much fun. I thought that was such a good thing and such a great way to reward somebody who's been playing your franchise for a little while now. That made me really happy on the inside because although I haven't like avidly played the Crew 2, I think of somebody who maybe has played the Crew 2. I've got friends that are lifelong fans of the Crew franchise and have a very impressive car collection. So very much so was a case of, yeah, that's gonna make gamers happy. So yeah, I had an absolutely fantastic time. The game comes out on September 14th, which is not very far away now, which is I believe only like 3 months from now, which is really exciting. So let me know in the comments if you'll be picking it up. You can also play 3 days early with the Gold or Ultimate Edition of the Crew Motorfest. I'll leave some links in the description below to information about the game and picking up different versions, etc. That's all that I have. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed getting a little bit of a sneak peek at the Crew Motorfest. I had a good old time playing it, and I'm excited to play more in the very near future. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel today. I really appreciate it. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any videos. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.